knock loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, laying. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derrick White.
Welcome in, First to the Floor podcast. Ben Vallis here, along with Jake Eisenberg. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Lots to get to tonight, Jake, as Brad continues to tear down the championship machine that was all too recently the Boston Celtics. Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm good. It's good to see you on this Australian East Coast evening.
Prime time.
Prime time, baby. We got some locals in the chat. We got Sam LaFrance, C-Gamer, Stephen in Belgium. Oh, he's Belgian. He's in Finland, but he is Belgian. Apologies for fucking that, Stephen. But yeah, good morning, good evening, good afternoon as we wrap our heads around the demise of the championship Boston Celtics and we look towards the tanking, not so stealthy maybe, season with our boy Ugo, Baylor Shireman, Amari Williams, Luka Garza. Not quite the names we are used to talking about, Ben.
Why not Minott?
Why?
Why not indeed? Yeah.
I'm in. I might be in on Josh Minott.
Yeah. It's a very unstealthy stealth tank. The writing is very much on the wall, and we'll sort of get into, kind of what the indications are as far as intentions for the team over the next year or two potentially, given the constraints with the CBA and, ducking the tax for a certain period of time. Shout out to everyone joining us in the chat. I believe Stephen is joining us from the gym. We want high quality reps there, Stephen. Don't be ducking out mid-set to fire off a comment in the chat, but we appreciate you all joining us. But look, Luke Cornett is gone. Al Horford is almost certainly gone unless he decides to Haslam it, which is now my dream. That's kind of like the bar is lower to please can Al Horford Haslam it for a year. That would be great, but he deserves better than that. We've got two new signings with very telling salaries as far as what the intentions are for the next couple of years. That's Luke Garza and Josh Minott. And that's where we're going to start. And then I think we'll get to the rookie media availability today, plus the team trajectory now that we have these data points, Jake. Who's I believe that was your wife in the back. I'd be concerned if that wasn't your wife in the background.
Hey, that was my wife.
Unless it was Derrick White.
Tucker, yeah, true. Could be. He is free. No, she's slightly shorter than Derrick White. Yeah, look, the Celtics podcasts have the pleasure of discussing the signings of Luka Garza and Josh Minott. It's not quite the trades of Cam Johnson or the signings of Miles Turner, which we might get to a little bit later on the Patreon. But for now, starting with Josh Minott, of the ripe age of 22 years old, 6'8", 0.75, close to 6'9" for those playing at home here, in shoes, with a 6'11", 0.75 wingspan. This is of the two signings, this is the one that I'm excited about. Mm-hmm. If I can be excited about these guys. Still only 22 and basically has just barely played. And not just barely played in the NBA, but didn't really play that much in college either. So he's played a total of 463 minutes in 3 seasons in the NBA. Which is Jordan Walsh played 360, has played 367 in his 2 seasons. So Minott's been playing less per season than Jordan Walsh here. He just hasn't really been given a chance. Even the G League, he's only played 32 G League games. So Jordan Walsh has 51 G League games. And then back to college, only played 14.6 minutes per game. So he is exactly, Sam LaFrance said it, he is essentially like another draft pick.
Yeah.
And when you're showing some clips on the screen here, if you're watching on YouTube, he is 6'9", very athletic, high motor. Again, Brad's just throwing darts at the wing position, whether it's Walsh, Shireman, Ugo, or the latest Josh Minott here, and I don't know. So I can have a look at. I've got some like 3-point numbers and shooting numbers. Like a lot of it is kind of irrelevant because he's playing such minimal minutes. But I don't know. What are your Josh Minott thoughts?
Well, whenever you encounter a player that has like no sample size to speak of, you do what anyone does and go immediately to the per 36 stats, and they are 15.5 points per game, 3.2 assists per game, 2 steals, and 1.6 blocks. So like in terms of individual defensive prowess, I think there are signs. I think there's, again, not enough sample size to sort of assess that on a team basis ongoing, especially in like important, maybe crunch time minutes. I don't think he's literally ever played crunch time. Do you know what his nickname is, Jake?
Oh, no, I do not. The minnow, is it like a deep ocean beast of some description?
They call him the lawnmower, which I'm very excited to get behind. Potential sponsorship deals are plenty for Josh Minott. I think it's Minott as well. They have the the pronunciation on Basketball Reference as well, and there was an emphasis on the MY-NOT.
I like
I'm
that
going
for
why not Minott. But this
the
is
Minuteman T-Mac in the chat here. We like that.
This is, I think, this is a good pickup under the circumstances where, I love to talk about the dimensions. Certainly dimensionally gifted, and then you just hope that, under the tutelage of a Brad Stevens system, of a Joe Mazzulla system, that, this guy can see with added court time some sort of improvement. And it's just the kind of guy that you have to get to, like, not to get back to and harp on the salary mathematics of it all, but like, this is the tier of player that we have to shoot for. Under the circumstances. But because, like Sam LaFrance said in the chat, it's essentially another draft pick. There is like sneaky, I don't want to say high upside, but there's upside.
There's definitely upside. He's barely played, even as I said, back to college. And you look at the shooting numbers on their surface and it's like, I don't know. It's actually not too bad. 34% total in the NBA. Looking at his G League as well, he's at 33%. Only on 161 attempts. And obviously, like, when you're only playing garbage time and you're playing smaller stints, it's hard to get a feel for the shooting. But what was like an interesting little nugget, I thought, he's actually like a 90% free throw shooter in the NBA, 82% G League and NBA. And then going back to college, he didn't really shoot threes at all. He only took 14 threes. He only made 2 of them. But he shot 75% from the line as well there. So weirdly, he's got a pretty big sample size, at least, of knocking down his free throws consistently across college and the NBA and the G League. So that's just a little thing. Who knows if it means anything? Again, small sample size, but I'm like, okay, extrapolate 33% from 3, 82% from the free throw line, 6'8", 6'11" wingspan, hyper athletic. Again, he probably goes 40. He got drafted in the 40s. He probably gets drafted in the 40s in this year's draft again, right?
Yeah.
Like, that we've learned nothing about him. He's barely played it. He actually had one of his best games of his career against the Celtics earlier this season. Like, he had a block on Derrick White, had a dunk down the lane.
Also on Derrick White?
Also on Derrick White, but like of his like 40-something games played, like 90% of them he played less than 10 minutes. So we're really not a lot to go off, but He's got some nice highlights. He seems to have a good feel for when to cut, making a couple of nice passes. I wonder, it does feel like Brad Stevens is targeting good processes, people that can make decisions, looking at the paces and emulating some, like the way that they play. Like, look at who he's drafted with Amari, Hugo, and Sugar, and now Minott and Garza, all profile as guys at their position that are potentially plus decision makers. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Guys,
not?
Exactly. Yeah. And guys who can get up and down the court like quickly, essentially, like to try and comply with this new basketball related direction that you mentioned. Does it kind of reek of, and like correct me if I'm just like smoking the Brad Stevens peace pipe here, but does it kind of reek of Brad Stevens' brilliance? Like, he's fighting his way out of a corner in that he's basically got almost no options, and this does kind of look like making the absolute best out of maybe an all-time shitty situation as far as like the kind of contract and player that you're limited to here. And I feel like with Garza, who we'll get to in a sec, like, he's kind of making the best of a really bad situation with those acquisitions. Just in that they have upside, they kind of, again, draft picks with some NBA pedigree already instilled in them.
hey man, if you want to turn the difficulty up to 100, find yourself in the cap situation that the Celtics are in while also being good, meaning that the only assets and ways you have to acquire talent are the 28th pick and veteran minimum signings and undrafted guys. So it's an interesting little phase here for both Brad Stevens and Steven mentioned in the chat earlier for Joe Mazzulla, because it's like, one, can you identify talent, and then can you develop talent at the same time here? Because this is what they are left with right now. Young guys, upside. Can you get one of these guys to hit? Can you get two? Could you get four? Maybe Baylor, Ugo, and Josh Minott are going to be in the finals rotation in 2027. Who knows? Probably not. Josh Minott's probably out of the league, and then we're not picking up his team option when we're sitting here a year from right now. But for now, we can dream of what Josh Minott can become.
Speaking of dreaming of becoming something relevant this year, Luka Garza, same situation. He's now going to have an opportunity to find himself some playing time. He just signed a 2-year, $5.5 million per year vet min, so 0.5 mil more than Minott. He was the 52nd overall pick in the 2021 draft, and of course also acquired from the Minnesota Timberwolves. What's the skinny on Luka Garza here, Jake?
Yeah, I do love this comment from Sam in the chat here about give me all the guys that couldn't get on the floor for Chris Finch, who I really thought did an excellent job coaching last season. Minott did get in a little bit. Like when they had some injuries, he did get in a little bit, and they kind of had no choice but to let him go. They've still got so many guys: Terrence Shannon, Jaylen Clark, Dillingham, bunch of perimeter guys that they needed to get to. But I'm not as excited about Garza. This to me just looks like Captain Tank-a-thon right here. 26 years old, 6'10", 7 foot 1.5 wingspan. He was a college basketball god at Iowa. Lots of awards on his college basketball reference page, which there was a Wooden Award. I can't say I'm familiar with a lot of the college basketball stuff, but when he has played for the Timberwolves, he shoots a lot of threes. 5.8 3-point attempts per 36, so it's a very high 3-point rate for a center. Only made 31% of them in his career, but shot 37% from three in college. I don't really see it. I don't like the archetype really, guy that hasn't been able to shoot threes, hasn't really been able to defend successfully, but profiles as a guy that can make decisions with the ball in his hands. He has some vibes to him. Like there's been some moments, he's kind of at the taco fall, like a little bit of a victory cigar type thing, a fan favorite that when Luka Garza's in the game, it either means you're up big or you're down big. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my question, I was like, I'm assuming long term. So I signed both these guys to 2-year deals. Minott's a second year as a team option, which I love. But Garza is 2 years guaranteed, which I don't love. Kind of feels like the Tillman situation. Shouldn't be a huge issue to move him necessarily, but I don't really understand why they had to do that. Anan in the Discord was saying maybe he had an offer from someone else. I'm like, yeah, let him go. I don't know if we need to give him that second year guaranteed. But there was another guy that just left the Boston Celtics, Ben, who came in as a stretch five, who didn't really hit a lot of threes, who was almost out of the league, and then just earned himself a $41 million contract and developed into a really valuable backup and third big for the Boston Celtics. And I'm wondering if that's the dream, that's the hope. Can you turn Luka Garza into the next version of Luke Cornett?
Well, I'll extend that to the rookies as well. Can you hit on any of these new additions, developmentally speaking? And Garza, he's got the Cornett replacement dimensions is probably where I'll begin and leave it as far as the similarities to Luke Cornett. But it's a great starting foundation. And according to John Krasinski of The Athletic, he for the most part reports on the T-Wolves. He said that Boston has made inquiries for Garza in the past with Minnesota, and they were, quote, finally they were able to acquire him. Finally, Jake, we finally got Luke Garza on the team. Fucking hooray. Jesus Christ, man.
I do not understand. I don't understand that tweet at all. Like, if Brad Stevens wanted to acquire Luka Garza, I think he would have been able to do it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think the Timberwolves would have taken literally anything for Luka Garza, so I don't quite understand that.
We can aggregate salaries now, so at least there's that. Like a 2.5 per year is a building block in a multi contract trade at least.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, so that's cool. I guess it's. I think it might be. Is it slightly above the minimum? Because I know you can't stack minimums now in the new CPA. So
of course you can't. Jeez.
That's or is that a second apron thing that you can't stack if you're in the second apron? I don't know.
Call in. Someone in the chat, let us know.
Yeah.
It's probably as bad as you think it is.
I have to know. Yeah. So I don't know, man. 52nd pick. He's probably this guy just reeks to me as someone that's going to be out of the NBA. Toot sweet, and I don't really understand why we gave him that second season. I would have rather have just not had him and risked potentially not being able to get off him next season if he's terrible this year.
Mm-hmm. So what do they have in common? And like the first thing that comes to mind is the sort of salary tier that they're at and what that indicates about the Celtics almost now like definitely set in stone intentions for the next couple of years. Is there anything else that stands out? You mentioned like the sort of pace and space approach, I guess, that they have to the game. Is there anything else, any sort of commonalities that stick out to you thematically? I
mean, they're both second draft guys. Like, they didn't sign any. These weren't Torrey Craig's veteran minimum signings. This was not a Tim Hardaway Jr. veteran minimum, Gary Trent Jr., Taurean Prince type. Minott, like, clearly, as we said, has draft pick kind of written all over him. And Luka Garza, similarly to, Luke Cornett, I mean, he just hasn't played that much. And so we don't really know if he's good or not in the NBA, I guess. I think that someone that's that old coming into the NBA, if like I don't know, maybe I have got double standards here, but I feel like he would have forced his way into the court at some point. But I don't know, whatever reason I'm prejudiced, I'm just not buying the Garza stuff at all. And I've talked myself into Josh Minott at least having something.
Yeah, and with Garza, I was not like even that high on the highlights, which is like conceptually that those are the best moments in your career, and I didn't think that they were particularly good, which is probably a bit of a red flag. Before we get into the rookie media availability and kind of like some of the future implications for the team, I don't know if you've got the ad read ready, Jake, but we might check in with our friends over at Prize Picks.
That's right, it's Prize Picks time. Summer League is coming. Are we going to see Ugo? We're going to bet on, more on Hugo rebounds would be exciting. My Indiana Fever took home the Commissioner's Cup today. No Caitlin Clark as to ride the unders on because she's actually injured at the moment. But I'm sticking with my girl Angel Reese, going more on rebounds and points at the moment. But yeah, download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Look, season's over. Why not, sprinkle some stuff over some other sports with this free time.
Yeah, enhance your viewing experience. Yeah, shout out Prize Picks and shout out CLNS for presenting this show, both the YouTube version and the audio version. The audio version through which the video version is now available through the audio platform Spotify, which you should definitely go and subscribe to. I think we've had a lot of people flock over to YouTube, which has been great for this channel. We want to bump those numbers up on the audio pod as well, so please subscribe over at Apple and Spotify if you can. Now, the rookie media availability, I have a clip here that we could run as we talk over it, Jake. I don't know if that is going to enhance anyone's viewing experience of this podcast. Hugo is something I'm going to have to say 1,000 times before I don't say Hugo. And then obviously Amari Williams and Max Shulga had their first appearance in sort of a Celtics adjacent uniform, I guess, a Celtics charity event there at the YMCA there in a suburb that is not well known to me. But I guess they're present now in Celtics world, Jake. We're starting to see their faces. We're getting confirmations that they're going to be making summer league appearances. And in a time, in a world where we're looking for hope anywhere we can find it, these smiling faces are now in our worlds.
Sounds like the beginning of a Batman movie. The night is darkest before the dawn, Ben.
Hey, man, it might end with us beating the Joker. Who knows?
Hey, Hugo Gonzalez is here to save us. I will say, of the draft picks, there are some photos, going around today. If you don't mind, if I can pop them up here and
please
get rid of
take the wheel.
Can I? We got Hugo meeting Tatum here. I mean, is this photo not just dripping in aura? You've got Tatum shirtless. The tricep is just
pull downs. They're working.
I mean, Nick Sang, by the way, looking pretty jacked himself, and and Tatum and Nick honestly looking quite tired. I don't know. They've probably been barely sleeping as they get the rehab in, but I don't know. Something about this specific photo, I was like, is this the beginning of something, Ben? Hugo? I can see, look at that strong forearm.
Yeah.
Like there's something to it. And then obviously you got JB meeting Shulga and meeting Amari as well. And then Hugo had the pleasure to meet Celtic legend Neemias Queta.
Oh, wow. What an honor.
I know. So you get to meet
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we had on this pod, we would be absolutely stoked and it would be life-changing for us.
Oh,
but
totally.
yes, I hear you. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just jealous of Hugo getting to, live out my dream of shaking Tatum's hand while shirtless. But
yeah, I'm going to bring this Tatum photo up again and just admire the striations on both sides, and the forearm and the tricep and shoulder region as well. And obviously,
impressive stuff.
I'm not sure what Nick Sang has changed with his routine, his diet, but he's looking massively jacked as well. So that brought me way too much joy, that photo, because it just in one square image contained so much joy that I've been scrambling for lately. So it's just good to see the boys on the premises, I should say, and starting to soak up some of the Celtic the greatness, I suppose, and looking forward to seeing Hugo and team in Summer League. Not on premises. Sorry, it's late. Al Horford hasn't been seen, Jake, but I think the writing's on the wall there as well.
Not on the premises. Yeah, I was very much expecting to wake up to the Al Horford news. And honestly, the reports only got worse today with rumblings that the Lakers are also after Al Horford. That would obviously be a disaster. It does feel like the Knicks are off the board now Yabusele going to the Knicks wasn't exactly my favorite thing to read today either, I must say. While they obviously like a nice player to acquire, he doesn't exactly solve the we have problems with playing more of our players together because of defensive problems. You can't play Cat and Brunson and Yabu. Yabu's not good defensively either. So that's an aside. But Horford's still not signed. It does feel like, at least when I was reading today, he's going to the Warriors and they're essentially waiting until they figure out the Jonathan Kuminga situation. And there's just some salary cap mechanism things that they need to work through before they can actually do it. The question is is he willing to sit through that in case it doesn't happen? And then is he left, holding the bag and he doesn't have anywhere to go? It sounds like he's got offers from all over the place and he can take a veteran's minimum back with the Celtics or wherever essentially. So it doesn't feel like he's going to go to my number one destination, which would have been the Nuggets, which I know you're probably happy about, but with him not going to Denver with your whole Dice Denver Cup situation. But yeah.
I already got the text from Dice with the wire meme. I want you to put it out there that we're back up as soon as some of those Denver moves were made.
Yep.
And I just don't want him to get his hands on my precious Al. So as much as like basketball wise, culture wise, and meshing with Jokic there, Horford, Denver would be basically a perfect fit. In that sense, I love it. I just can't let that happen for personal reasons. Jake, as you know, how would you feel about him going to the Warriors? Like that does seem, like you say, the most probable outcome. Obviously, we've had some run-ins with that franchise in the past few years. So how does that sit with you?
It's tough because we're all aware of my and our love for Al Horford, so that's a big piece of it. I've always been a fan of Steph Curry. There was a 2-year period there where I wasn't able to enjoy Steph Curry in the same way, but winning the NBA title really kind of helped me enjoy Steph Curry again. So I love Steph. I love Al Horford. I can't stand Draymond, and I hate Jimmy Butler. It's a really tough thing to reconcile for me. But then it's like, okay, well, if it came down to OKC versus Golden State, I really don't want OKC to win another title and become like the first team in the 2020s to get us their second title and become a team that, because right now it's like we're essentially just ranking who's the best championship team from the 2020s, and it's clearly the 2024 Boston Celtics. But as soon as the Thunder win a second one, that kind of goes out the window.
Yeah,
so,
I hear you.
I understand the Warriors winning a second one maybe puts that out the window as well, but it's just there's such different versions of each other that I think it's quite different. I
also don't think he puts the Warriors over the top. Like he's very much a very, very good quality supplementary piece at this point, but I don't think he like gives the Warriors everything they need to be in like full. I don't think they had the best chance of winning a title across all the teams in the league with Al Horford as a member of their team.
No, definitely not. But I mean, and not to mention that they're like putting together like a team exclusively of guys that are 35 and over between Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, and Horford. It's an incredible fit though. Like Draymond being able to play the 4, but having a stretch big like Horford, who can, their defense would be so fucking filthy. Like Draymond and Horford and Jimmy all together would be so disgusting, and having like the supercomputer brains of Jimmy and Draymond and Horford and Steph all together would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Like from a basketball point of view, but it would be hard to like. Yeah, I don't see like the Warriors winning the title, but like if the OKC happen to match up with the Warriors in the first or second round, it's like when the Warriors are still fresh enough that that these old guys are still kicking. That's not a team that I'd be very excited to play. They're not going to win 4 rounds, but could they win 1 or 2?
And like if they could make it to the playoffs healthy,
switching
1 through 5 with Draymond and Horford as your bigs would be like pretty terrifying to go up against. So I think I would be in support of that. I just want them to go somewhere nice, and like we know that that's a quality organization who like take care of their players. So I would like to see that happen, unless Draymond Green decides to punch one of those players in the face.
Oh my god, dude! If he tries to punch Al Horford, I'll be so upset.
Michael Jordan punched Steve Kerr. Sometimes players punch other players. It's just the reputational aspect that has us concerned. But we'll see. We'll obviously be tracking that. I'm like currently waking up multiple times per night checking Twitter. It's bad for my health, which is why I can't say premises apparently correctly. But let's move on to the future discussion that we'll now have in the present about this not so stealthy tank. Jake, do you want to maybe run us through it? Like what the writing is on the wall saying what at this point?
Yeah, well, the Luke Cornett leaving and Horford leaving, I think I talked about it beforehand. Like the difference between those two on the team versus both of them off the team, I said kind of like on the high end is a 20-win swing, probably. Like the difference between us going 40, like winning 48 games and 28 games, it could be that bad. And I don't think it's an exaggeration when you drop from Luke and Al to Keita, Tillman, Luka, Garza, and Amari Williams, who I love. But so that's, and like, I'm torn on it because the East is really bad. And now the Pacers have also lost Miles Turner and with no Halliburton. So they've kind of entered the fray as another team that's going to fucking stink. But like a team with Pritchard, Derrick, Jaylen, Hauser and Cater as your starting five, or
In this
Garza.
conference.
I think it's a fucking bad team. And then and then we're going to talk about, are we going to try to duck the tax here? Because the team that still has Simons and Niang on it and Hauser is like, that's the team that probably makes the play-in. Whereas if you lose two of those three, Hauser, Niang, and Simons, then I think that you can start to talk yourself into getting a top 10 draft pick, which I think is what they should be trying to do now. Like this, we talked about, should they stealth tank? Can they stealth tank? Everybody needs to get on board now. They're not going to be able to probably get into like the bottom 4, bottom 5, but you need to get yourself into the bottom 9, bottom 10, where you have like a 20% chance of a top 4 pick. Even a top 10 pick is valuable. Like Casey Wallace was the 10th overall pick, for example. Like everybody needs to get on board. Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla, Jaylen Brown, Derrick White in particular. Like this, it's time. This is the path.
Yeah, and like at the moment, we're still projected to be roughly 800K over the second apron. So there's still moves to be made. And like we said earlier, like we'll do the Anfernee Simons potential trade scenarios on the Patreon pod live after this. But there are sort of more moves to come. But as it stands at the moment, it's a tough one. Like, does Jaylen Brown and Derrick White in their prime, regardless of who else is on the roster with them in this current Eastern Conference climate, do they miss the playoffs? Like, it's, in order to get a top 10 pick, like you have to well and truly miss the playoffs. I'm torn, I guess, between wanting them to be that bad, needing them to be that bad because we want that spicy like mid-lottery pick, and just being unsure if Joe Mazzulla, Derrick White, and Jaylen Brown will kind of like allow that to happen. Well,
let's play a quick game, and we're probably going to play this game like 20 times between now and this season starting. Who will the Celtics finish ahead of these teams? The Cleveland Cavaliers.
No.
The New York Knicks.
Unfortunately not.
The Detroit Pistons.
I'd say not.
Orlando Magic.
Definitely not.
Atlanta Hawks.
No.
Milwaukee Bucks.
No.
Probably not.
Giannis is getting Giannis.
And now, so that's 7 teams already. So the Celtics would be 8th in this list, unless I miscounted, which is very possible.
Plucky 8 seed. The Heat have done it.
Clucky 8 seed. Now, okay, but now the Miami Heat.
Yes, they'll finish over the Miami Heat.
I see now. I think it's a mess. I think Heat, Bulls, Raptors, Pacers, Celtics. Sixers, if they're healthy, are better than the Celtics. No question.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
So that brings us to the 9 spot. And so it's Heat, Raptors, Pacers, Bulls. So that's 4 more teams. Hornets, Wizards, and Nets are the only, and even the Hornets are starting to get a little bit frisky. They've made a couple of nice moves. I think we're still better than the Hornets, but those are the only 3 teams I'm like willing to bet my life on that we're going to be better than. The Bulls are professional play-in makers. The Heat are professional play-in makers. It is the Miami Heat Invitational. That is what they do. And I think we're gonna find out real quick how much Jayson Tatum was doing for this team. And by the way, if we lose that Horford, we will have lost 5 of our top 8.
Yeah,
5 of our top 8. And I love Jaylen and I love Derrick. I'm skeptical that he can carry a team here. He's worse than Donovan Mitchell. He's worse than Giannis. He's worse than Brunson and probably ranked below Paolo. Bam is Jaylen and Bam, who I think probably Jaylen is your guy there. I don't know, man. And this is why I'm saying, like, there's no reason for them to push if it's, like, very obviously that they're the 8th best team. Mm-hmm. You've got to try and get Jaylen and Derrick on the, like, you're playing 32 minutes a night and you're not playing back-to-backs. And that's the baseline. And if things start to spiral, we're shutting you down for, like, you turn your ankle, we're not going to see you for 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, when you spell it out like that, Jake, it's very difficult to believe that they will make the playoffs. We've just been so spoiled with playoff making for like, it feels like our entire lives, that it's like literally difficult to swallow that pill. But and again, like I'm so torn. Like obviously we need them to be bad to put ourselves in the best position to win in the next sort of like 2 to 3 years. It's kind of like a diet. Like obviously you want to get in shape. You do have to have some restrictions in your life in order to get to your goal. And we're just at the beginning of the diet. It's day one of the diet right now. And there's going to be some tempting cheat days throughout that we're going to have to avoid with some, rests and creative injury classifications and things like that. So it's the beginning of a long journey, but potential best reset / short run rebuild of all time in that, like, we know if things hold, we know that we have Jayson Tatum, Derrick White, and Jaylen Brown, like waiting at the end of the rainbow.
That's it right there. And it's so funny how different everything feels with and without Jayson Tatum. Like, if we had Jayson Tatum, I'd be like, okay, let's just sneak under the second apron, and I think we can make the finals. That's how different I think this is, because it's like, I'm like, you got to get rid of Simons and Niang, and this team is maybe the 10th worst team in the NBA. You have Jayson Tatum. I want you to try and keep Simons and Niang and somehow sneak under the second apron here, which I think you could do, and I think they could make the finals. But like that's not rocket science. Like, there are so many teams in the NBA that's like, take Jokic off the team. They're a bottom 2 team probably. Like, that's the reality of a 4 straight first team All NBA caliber type player on and off the team, and especially someone like Tatum who does so much for this team. I know in the Discord we were talking about it. Steven was like, this team might be the worst rebounding team in the league now. The Cornet, Horford, Porzingis gone. Cater can't defensive rebound for shit, and Tatum's been our leading rebounder for like 5 years.
And we've thought we've had it bad with like second chance possessions and points in the past. Now it's going to be really bad. But hey, it's gonna help propel us in our new temporary losing battle, which is going to be the second year, because Forsberg had a great write up about this on NBCSportsBoston.com. Like, summer of 2027 seems to be like the immediate target, the end of this longish runway where only JT, Jaylen, Derrick White, Hauser, and Pritchard will be on the roster for a total of 170-ish million. And basically what that spells is like you're in this striking position to go out and acquire good talent to build around what will still be a really talented core of key pieces on the roster at that point. The difficulty in the short term might be like, how do you manage Derrick and JB and even JT when he does come back in like sort of this subdued version of a high potential Celtics roster, and that we can't quite make those moves until we get to that juncture, summer of 2027. How do you see that playing out, Jake? And would you agree like that's clearly the directive at this point?
Yeah, well, that's the one. That's the hard thing to talk about, is like, because we don't know for sure if they're trying to get under the tax. We think they're trying to get under the tax.
They gotta be, yeah.
Because like, if you got to try and reset the repeater. The sad thing is, the person that bought the Celtics is a broke boy as far as billionaires go. Like, he's barely able to pay for the team. We don't have Steve Ballmer. So I think that they're going to be trying to reset the repeater tax, because it's insane what the new CBA has done to try and get teams to stop going into the tax. But so Himmelsbach had a quote today: the Celtics, according to league sources, will consider ways to dip below the $188 million tax lines as they move forward this summer. They're about $17 to $19 million above, depending on what time of day you have a look at this at the moment. So that means you got to dump Niang and do a Simons trade, or a Simons trade and another trade in order to get below, or you end up having to trade Hauser for a draft pick into someone's TPE, which we've been talking about, which I would not like to do. But man, another thing that happened that has fucked the Celtics is that the salary cap went up by 7%, not by the projected 10%, which, like, when you're working with the margins that the Celtics are, that's just really impactful, because like the Jays raises are 8%. So instead of getting more wiggle room with the as the years go on, we're actually going to get less for next season. So like, instead of making 35% of the cap, I think Tatum's going to be making 35.3 or something like that. Again, you all know mathematics, Jake. Take all of this with a grain of salt. Just know that with the cap going up by 7% instead of 10%, fuck some. This math I can do. It's like if the salary cap's 150 million, if it goes up by 10%, you have $15 million to play with. If it goes up by 7, it's less than that, and you have less money to pay players to help Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Derrick White win basketball games. So it's not coming up Celtics currently, man.
No, it's really not. They clearly hate us. They let us win one title and it's back to we're cursed again. It's very depressing, but man, having won that one title really, really helps. I'm not quite in the headspace to go back and watch the 2024 stuff yet. And at the moment, seeing any clip of like Tatum on the court is like a little bit triggering. I'm not ready yet, but I will be. And I look forward to like going back and watching Celtic City and all the docos that we were lucky to get out during that time. Yeah, I think the second year of being under the tax, which is required to get out of that repeater scenario, that's going to be really tough, I think, for the entire franchise, fans included, and the players. And there'll have to be a point where they're like, is this worth it in terms of the other revenue streams and the quality of life, professionally of our players? And are we really willing to like dim the lights for a second consecutive year just to get out of the repeater tax? Or should we appreciate what we've got now in terms of the amount of high caliber players in their primes and just go for it and fuck the repeater? But we'll be scrappy it.
That's possible. And like if it's just the repeater tax, there is an element to be like, fuck you, Billy Chisholm. Just pay it, bro.
Yeah.
Like Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown at 30, 31, like it's time to go for it. I understand the reality that's probably not the case. But at the same time, a starting lineup of Jaylen, Jayson, Derrick, Pritchard, and Amari Williams.
Prime Baylor Shireman.
Yeah, like prime Baylor Shireman. But if you get under the tax, you will have your mid-level exception. So you'll have your $15 million thing to acquire someone, or the Simons trade where you scale down. That's where you find your big man of the future. That team is fucking good. That's been my premise all along. Tatum, Jaylen, Derrick, especially in this Eastern Conference, I'm taking those dudes plus you, me, Steven, and Jazz in the chat right here, and we're going to the finals.
Hell yeah, man, let's do it.
Yeah, like that's how much I believe in Tatum and Jaylen specifically, but as well Derrick and obviously Pritchard just purely because of his contract. So, like, again, tricky on the maths here. I did get this confirmed by a nun in the Discord a week or two ago that the tax threshold in the 26-27 season will be like $206.7 million. So with Tatum, Jaylen, Derrick, Hauser, and Pritchard, that leaves you $42 million to fill out the remaining 9 slots. And if you give that $15 million to another guy, you have $27 million to give to 8 guys, which basically is just the entire roster full of minimums. But again, if that's your roster, maybe, but it's not minimums. It's Hugo's taking a step. Baylor's taking a step. Josh Minott, comeback player of the year. We're fucking here to party, baby. Our 2026.
Here we go.
Yeah, our 2026 pick jumped up to 3rd overall, and we're bringing in Cam Boozer. Like this is the needle we're gonna thread. It's gonna be hard to get back to like true like the level of talent that we had in 2024 was like, this is the best team, and we're gonna kill everybody. And winning a title is the only like outcome that's like reality. Yeah. The reality of the next version is probably gonna be what we were in 21, 22, and 22, 23, or versions of that where it's like
in the mix.
Kind of need some things to break your way, but you off the back of the Jays, you just hopefully you sneak in and you win one more title.
Yeah, which is, I think, how the majority of title winners do it, right? Like, you just have to, there's an element of luck at the end, and you need to be in the mix. That almost happened to us in 2022, and we're going to get ourselves back into a similar position, albeit with the Jays, like, arguably more in their prime, depending on how Tatum's recovery goes. I will say that the second consecutive year under the tax to stop the repeater, one positive sign of that is that it does give Tatum, like, additional like pressure-free-ish runway to like truly recover, as opposed to the pressure of coming back and immediately being effective and immediately being, vying for title contention. So lots to keep track of over the next couple of years, evidently, Jake, but we're going to be potting our way through it. And I will say, like, this is where you earn your stripes as a fan, right? Of like, you've got to really like ride these dark times, because it just makes the inevitable title that will happen again at some point in our lifetimes, hopefully, all that much more worth it, right? So this is the time to like lock in, wear that Celtics jersey out, like show your fandom and have pride in your fandom, because this is where you earn it.
That's right. Go get yourself a Josh Minott jersey. Be serious. Yeah, get a number. Get a number 77 Amari Williams jersey, like a real fan. Yeah, man. And this would suck so much if we hadn't won the title. So much if we hadn't won the title, but we did.
It still sucks a little bit.
But it would suck so much more if we didn't. So Baylor Scheinman, Ugo Gonzalez, they're going to carry us. They're going to be leading the vibes. Josh Minott. What is going on? What has the world come to?
Vibes shaman. I'm looking forward to it. All right, well, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're a Patreon subscriber, or if you want to be, head over there now, because we're going to pick this back up. We're going to go live on our Patreon page a couple of minutes from now to talk Anfernee Simons trades and also about those crazy, pesky Milwaukee Bucks. Jake Eisenberg, love your work, man. Until next time, go Celts.